Cinematic Venom.
This review contains spoilers because I have to reveal spoilers in order to explain the plot and or give my opinion on them, so it's common sense, and if you don't like it and don't want to hear spoilers, fuck off!
From the minute your film walks in the room, it's doomed, cause this is the place where you go and film what's crap and make the sense. You won't sit on the fence, he's getting burnt in his show. Cinematic Venom, Cinematic Venom, Cinematic Venom, it's Cinematic Venom.
You know, the internet is a great way for people to interact with friends and family, and YouTube is a fantastic platform for people to connect with one another from all across the world. However, with the ongoing impressive growth of technology, it seems to be manipulated and has been for quite some time. Due to the success of YouTube and the easy accessibility to it, and to recording and editing equipment, pretty much anybody can make them now. Which means pretty much anybody can make a movie as well. Smosh had a movie, Fred had a movie, Roman Atwood had a movie, Cinema Snob, Nostalgia Critic, Angry Video Game Nerd, there's rumours of a Spoonie film, they're everywhere! And today is a prime example because I've just been informed that Cinematic Venom even had a movie. Yeah, and my god, this is a bad one. If you could take any poorly shot, poorly acted, poorly edited, poorly written, high budget motion picture, and then imagine it even worse with no budget and it doesn't even have the common decency to follow the source material that it claims it's adapted from, then you'd get the Cinematic Venom movie. Much like the Channel Awesome and Cinema Snob films, this is based on a movie reviewing series on the internet, but don't worry, if you think that's the only dick-sucking of those other internet critics there is, you're in for a shock. I tried doing some research on this show in preparation for this video, but it was difficult considering the reviews are littered on so many different channels, and the ones I could find, they're just this jackass screaming, nitpicking, cracking awful jokes, and making no genuine analytical points to do with the film in question. He clearly has no idea about filmmaking, and this movie is just further proof of that. But let's not delay the inevitable any further. Cinematic Venom's first movie, as if they're going to make any more, The Dark Knight Stumbles. Yes, that's really the title. We're off to a good start.
You poor bastard.
So, just in case you're anybody on the internet and you've never heard of Cinematic Venom, we begin with a montage highlighting the entire history of the show. And I am not joking. This lasts for 6 minutes! 6 minutes! For someone who rips on so many films for padding out time, this guy sure as hell does like to fill it himself, doesn't he? 6 minutes to cover the backstory of a movie reviewing show? What kind of movie reviewing show needs that kind of backstory? What's the backstory of it? You probably work in a supermarket, then go home, grab your video camera, and then write about films for about 3/4 of your subscribers to completely ignore.
That doesn't make any sense.
So, from what I can gather, the lead host of these reviews is some guy called Bert or something, and I guess it's supposed to be God, who I think is played by the Cinema Snob, forcing him to watch and review Avatar. Upon doing so, he gets shot. For some reason. It's never explained. Completely pointless.
Well, we didn't do that.
After that, God and Santa Claus bring him back to life on the one condition that he must create the greatest reviewing show on the internet. Little did they know that he actually would. Just 5 years later.
Expect me to believe that.
So the new series of the show begins. Bert brings in this Alex dude as a co-writer, but I guess they broke up off screen, so he gets killed off by a killer talking toy pirate, and then he gets brought back in some meta fourth wall breaking bromance crap. Spoonie. Spoonie? They got Spoonie! Oh, Noah, how the mighty have fallen.
What the hell happened?
Spoonie convinces Bert to continue his show regardless of having no views, but I guess God wasn't satisfied, so he snaps and turns everyone into Batman characters. Weird punishment.
Oh, I know. I'll provide them with really unreliable cast members who constantly no-show filming dates. Yes. I'll provide them with... What else? Awful lighting. Lots of wind. Yes. Bad continuity. Shit editing.
Subtle. And all of that is covered in just the previously on montage. Seriously, all of that could have been its own film entirely. But anyway, finally, the movie begins.
How is this possible?
Look at this lighting. They really thought they were ready for a movie. Anyway, so this prick dressed in the animated Two-Face suit for some reason with a half latex mask cut on his face with a beanie holding it on. They really went all out for the production on this one. You actually wrote that?
Might have been Alex.
Is apparently Harvey Dent himself. He wanders this crappy apartment before discovering the DVD of the Cinematic Venom Series 2 finale, which leads to Bert's pre-recorded message showing concerns about Alex going missing. He assures us that this is actually real and not a part of the show whatsoever. Still don't care. He literally did one review of all of Series 2. Why should we give a shit that he's missing?
Who asked you?
Anyway,
I am vain, I am vain, I am vain.
And there's a character completely destroyed in less than 5 seconds. Now, I've done the research, and I cannot find any evidence of Bane ever acting this way in any comic book interpretation anywhere. I've searched for hours, and it's nowhere to be found. Cinematic Venom made this film based on DC Comics, but have clearly done no research in adapting these characters whatsoever.
I beg your pardon.
So after the Joker appears and, I guess, rapes Bane, I don't know, it's never explained, we finally cut to some cheap opening credits which some independent artists probably did for Burt for a really cheap price before cutting back to him where we truly see his subtlety.
But my main issue is people disliking it for plot holes and continuity errors. I've said this before and I'll say it until I fucking die. Plot holes and continuity errors are completely irrelevant.
You know, for someone who bitches about movies not having subtlety anymore, he really should practice what he preaches.
What does this Rob Bohr guy want anyway? Why does he like talking shit?
So wait, now we're back here?
This movie jumps around more than a Mexican jumping bean on a grasshopper on a jackrabbit on a pogo stick. This movie sucks!
So Joker explains that he broke out of Arkham Asylum. So is this a sequel to something? Or what? Anyway, Two-Face is interrupted by the Riddler, also played by Burt. Now we cut back and forth, so let's just cover this shitstorm they call a story. The Riddler, and I guess whatever the fuck he was married to at the time, Poison Ivy, plan to use Riddler's mind-controlling invention. Oh, so it's a sequel to Batman Forever? Well, no, it can't be, because Two-Face died in that. So it makes no sense. And also, we never see his invention.
What?
To use episodes of Cinematic Venom to psychologically torture the entire world. It would work, I'm not gonna lie. Meanwhile, the Joker explains to Bane that Cinematic Venom's review of Avatar converted people's opinions and made them believe that it was a truly horrible film. Yeah, your dislikes say otherwise, guys. Get off your own dick.
No, shut up, you!
Anyway, he believes they have some kind of supernatural powers and they can now use it to, you guessed it, take over the world.
Of course!
I'll never get sick of that show.
Despite this plan, though, Ivy wants Cinematic Venom dead for some reason.
I mean, let's just say, hypothetically, Bane and Joker have to have several ridiculous contests, kind of like a decathlon, just constant contests against one another, and the winner, at the end of it all, the winner gets to kill Batman.
Why don't you stop it? We might have missed something!
Nah, I think we get the basic gist of it.
Bane would kill Joker instantly.
Well, that's a lazy way to get them to fight. It's almost as if they ran out of ideas to keep them in the rest of the movie.
How do we get...
I'm Batman.
Wait, what?
I'm Batman.
Who, what?
I'm
What? What's going on?
I'm Mr.
What?
Freeze. Look, some people dropped out in the last minute, okay? You've only got multiple people playing different characters anyway. Why can't I just play another character, okay? Just pretend that I'm a completely different person and... Look, see it. Got eyes, okay? See it, eyes. I'm Mr. Freeze, okay? Mr. Freeze, eyes.
Okay, let me just break this fourth wall for you. Not gonna need that. At least whoever didn't show up for filming, at least they won't appear at the end, making this joke completely pointless and really redundant.
Gotta go! Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Well, actually, yes, because it's all you sing and talk about for the rest of the fucking movie!
It's all part of the plan!
So Bane and the Joker start having their pointless competitions. Again, this is nowhere in the comic books whatsoever from what I could find. And neither is them playing Mario Kart on a Sega Saturn controller and a PlayStation 2 controller. But who gives a shit? They operate a TV with a Nintendo Wii controller.
That was only his idea! I hate you.
So God starts to get pissed off and is interrupted by a beloved Christian.
I know that you probably have a very good excuse for not helping us during our time of starvation and poverty here in Africa, but my mom is dying miserably. I was just...
Oh, piss off. I'm busy right now.
Okay, this is actually accurate to the source material, so I'll just move on.
Yes.
Bane then starts playing the guitar as the Joker sings along, and this one isn't even a competition! Oh, who gives a shit? God then orders his son, who has the most fantastic animation I have ever seen, to send a fake story to Earth. See, for some reason, he thinks that he's about to be found out. Never once explained.
You can't make this shit up.
And he demands him cover his tracks. We cut to a newsreader played by Chris Stuckman, I think, who then sends us over to YouTube sensation, The Super Secret Project. How the fuck are you getting these people? Obviously, they didn't like working with you guys that much, considering they never gave a shout out to this project.
You're in the wrong fucking movie.
Holy fucking shit, Batman! People of Gotham and the entire world, due to explosions in the 39th episode of Cinematic Venom. Everyone thinks that they are fictional characters from the Batman movies. This is not the case. There's only one Batman and one Robin, or I'm not a dick.
Okay. Except there were only 20 episodes in Series 2. And none of that made any sense. But okay.
Evil motherfucker!
Wait, what? Who? What? Who? The fuck is happening?
Wow, Mr. J, I didn't realize you're so excited to see me.
I just came.
I would just like to take the time to compliment this young actor's incredible package. This great talent, quite confidently, lent his junk to the production of this film, and it needs to be acknowledged. This is easily the greatest performance of the entire film, the greatest shot. Everything is perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, this man's package.
Why did you do that to yourself?
So I guess that was a montage of all of Bert's characters, which I guess was why they were briefly shown in the opening, but really, who gives a shit?
Who are all of you and what are you doing here? Harvey. Victor? Pamela.
Val.
Rocky. Adam.
Harvey.
Michael.
Edward.
Shut up!
Rocky. Harvey. Val.
Pamela.
Adam.
Rocky.
Hey, yo.
Well, that scene was pointless. So basically, we're just seeing all of these characters from the Cinematic Venom reviewing series that no one's really familiar with, so you don't really care.
What would give you that idea?
So God asks Jesus to send backup, and it comes in the form of two useless white men who no Americans can understand.
Who the hell are you? Man, who are we? Oh, listen to this daddy boy. Who are you, man?
The best characters of the entire film are illiterate douchebags. Just let that sink in.
I'm not kidding. Get out of here.
So Poison Ivy kisses one of them to kill him, and after the most dramatic death since Simba's dad, the other one runs out in tears and bumps into Wonder Woman, who is Latvian for some reason.
What's wrong, citizen?
Come on, plot. I know you're in there. Just come out to say hi.
Yeah, where is it?
We then cut back to Bane and the Joker having a pillow fight, just in case you're caring about these pointless competitions. Jesus interacts with his mother, who has an awful British accent for some reason, and his stepdad is wearing a Chris Benoit t-shirt because they're edgy. And they wanted to fill up more time and have more characters, but they're edgy.
What the hell?
So he hooks up with Moses, who I guess couldn't afford a costume, and they decide to resurrect Batman creator Bob Kane to help Bert and the others out. How would that even help them out? Oh, who cares? Now, during all of this shit, we've had pointless shots of this other Riddler walking around, not really doing anything. But here, we get a painfully long sequence of him roaming around the basement from earlier to show just how slobby the actor is in real life, where he spots the other Riddler, which doesn't make any sense considering A, they turned the TV off, and B, they were watching the Series 2 finale of Bert and not the actual movie.
Well, I'm Batman. I don't need an explanation.
Bob Kane, played by that complacent Charlie dude, shows up and we get a Truman Show parody, because that's never been done before. He explains that they're not actually the real characters, they just think they are, and then he urges Two-Face to remain in the Batman universe instead of killing one of the Batmen because that will ruin the story or something.
Say something, goddammit! You're gonna be on television! You're gonna be viewed by the whole world! Man, fuck y'all!
Probably what he said when he read the script.
Fuck!
We then cut to a depressed Bob Kane who receives a phone call from Ben Affleck, who's decreased in age by like 30 years for some reason. That's not the question you should be asking. You should be asking how the fuck Bob Kane has a phone when he died in 1998, and his phone is quite like up to date with technology, and it even has the Batman fucking ringtone.
I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be starring as Batman in the next movie.
Yeah, it's a shame that he turned out to be awesome in it. This joke failed.
Looks like, yeah.
However, up in heaven, or hell, wherever Jesus is, God isn't too happy with his interference.
You remember what happened the last time?
You're dead, but...
That's right. I flooded New Orleans, you felt bad, and you sent Barack Obama to office. And we saw how well that worked out now, didn't we?
And 1 year later, it would only get worse.
Oh, I'm hilarious. What's my movies?
Sir Alfred Pennyworth enters and mentions the bat signal being shown, which leads to Commissioner Gordon, who also couldn't afford a costume for some reason, and Lucius Fox, who looks nothing like Morgan Freeman, acts nothing like Morgan Freeman, and speaks nothing like Morgan Freeman, but he's black, so he got the part, and they have a confrontation.
I'm just bored,
says the audience.
You're fucked up.
Now, during all of this, we kept cutting back to the chav and Wonder Woman, and now he just dances and she storms off. They're all entirely pointless, every one of their scenes together, but I guess they needed some comedy to stay in the flick. Speaking of pointless, Bane is now Joker's psychiatrist, and this isn't even a competition either. They just recite their speeches to each other, then Joker jumps up, and somehow this gives Bane a point. As if anyone's keeping score anyway.
You will never be able to defeat me.
But apparently we live in Joel Schumacher land because Batgirl is Alfred's niece. Yeah, these guys didn't read a fucking comic book either. Batgirl shows up and promises to find the real Batman. They parody a Buffy the Vampire Slayer scene that most people wouldn't get, poking fun at how nobody knows who Batman really is, and the characters change clothes with each other between every single shot. Is it funny? Is it making a point? Is it entertaining? The answer to all of these questions is no.
I don't know,
But don't you know in filmmaking 101, the best thing to do when there's a mistake in your film is to point it out. So I guess Bert has some kind of grudge against Christianity for some reason, because God then spews loads of consistency errors within the Bible, and then we cut to Bane butchering Johnny Cash, before cutting to a field where fucking Battle Rap Championship finalist Jay's Juice narrates. Seriously, who are they gonna get for the sequel? No, wait, do not make a sequel!
We're gonna die! I'm gonna die! I can't die! I'm too beautiful to die!
The fight begins and they're off to a great start with Two-Face's mask clearly falling off. And more random pointless cameos from this show that nobody watched and therefore nobody asked for. And then... They spent 3 years on this film. 3 fucking years.
What kind of black magic is this?
Well, maybe Joker and Bane can liven up the... So the fights continue, but all they do is quote their other films. I mean, not their films, but the films that their characters or actors that they're portraying were in. They don't even make any sense. Two-Face recites stuff from Men in Black, Ivy from Pulp Fiction, Riddler from any Carey film ever, with some of the worst punches known to man, and even worse dubbing.
I think I've had a change of heart.
At least we can enjoy this real-life headbutt that Bert took.
Ball up the fist, pull way back, and assert your... Ow.
You're Batman. He's Batman. He's Batman. He's Batman. Is there anybody else I should know? Any more Batmen out there?
I'm Batman.
Because that's what the Batman film needed. A SpongeBob parody. So Bane and the Joker arm wrestle, and despite Joker losing and then asking for best 2 out of 3, they both win 1 each and then the scene stops. Does the director not know how to count? Did Doug Walker teach him maths? You know, right before he put Phantom Menace, episode 1 on the list of worst sequels of all time. 1 comes before 2, Doug.
Oh, not this again.
Bane and Joker have a race, blah. Mr. Freeze, who by the way has been playing 2 characters this whole time and fighting himself, he then goes turbo time, and okay, this is hilarious and the funniest of the entire film.
It's turbo time!
Well, that's something you don't see every day.
At one point, the sexy cameraman spins around to show the other actors, and I'm pretty sure this was their reaction to the final cut of the film. We cut to Forrest Gump, the dude from Oh the Horror, who plays Robert Lowry. After some random woman mistakenly claims that Adam West was the original Batman, Lowry freaks out and claims he was until Professor Oak from Pokemon corrects him and states that Lewis Wilson was the originator. What is the point of all of these scenes? This entire movie is pointless. None of these scenes connect to anything. It's just a bunch of things happening.
We gotta get him when he least expects.
So Superman, played by some kid, shows up and gives that cliche speech about how violence is never the answer and they need to learn to get along and work together.
So how about we all become friends, let bygones be bygones, and work together to save the world?
Really? You're gonna end with this stupid bullshit cliche? Oh, Jesus. Okay, death of Superman, cool.
You're a dead man!
Jesus snaps and decides to turn them back into themselves by causing an earthquake. Okay. Bane returns from the race, and despite the sound of the earthquake still playing, this place isn't shaking for some reason, and apparently Bane also runs in no shoes. So during the earthquake, they obviously do what they need to do, and Poison Ivy kisses Batgirl. Even though they already know that they're not the real characters, but okay.
And cinematic Venom is never wrong.
So they swap spit while all of these people react. They break the fourth wall more. Yes, lesbians, good, whatever. Jesus then finally decides to go back to Earth, even though they were already apparently turning back into themselves anyway. None of this makes any fucking sense.
Yes, it does.
Jesus reincarnates as Michael Bay because Michael Bay thinks he's Jesus. Is that the joke? Walking is Pet Dynamite. He blows them up, which somehow turns them all back into themselves. Well, actually it doesn't. It just means now there's two of them all. I don't even know, and I don't care either.
What do you mean?
They explain the explosion bullshit we heard from Robin earlier, even though this was the fake explanation, and realistically these should now know the real reason, but fuck it. Sooner we get to the credits, the better. On a side note, what the hell must these guys have been thinking? So after all of this, Two-Face pulls out a gun, but after some actors vanish between shots and some more terrible dubbing,
I don't think we should kill him anymore.
Riddler decides that he does not want to kill them anymore because his free will is somehow being affected by an unseen force. So why couldn't Jesus have done this earlier?
A movie could do whatever the fuck they want.
That other Riddler spots the bat signal, even though one shot is at night and the other is at day. Then the Batman from the news earlier, who for some reason has a much better quality camera and lighting, bursts in to confront Bane and the Joker.
What? Oh, does anybody know where the drugstore is?
They're edgy.
Oh, I'd just kill myself.
So the three goofball Batmen get ditched as Batgirl drives away while they pursue and probably wake up annoying teenagers in the process who'd probably show up to mess up scenes later on. Just a feeling I have. Just look at these other actors in the background. They're clearly just sat there like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? When they return, another character appears and shoots an old man for no reason whatsoever. Again, it's just like they're trying to be Channel Awesome. Like, oh, Kick-Ass had loads of cameos from characters. Yeah, people actually watch Channel Awesome. Nobody watched Cinematic Venom, so putting in characters that no one knows but it's completely pointless. No one knows these characters. Why would they give a shit about these random pointless fucking cameos?
I believe I am the one conducting this interview.
Bane and Batman can't understand each other's voices. Ha ha, Riddler kicks his ass. Do you mind? Did they mention he's Jim Carrey? Just in case you forget. Batgirl runs over some old lady, but at least the Riddler took the time to get in a car to film it for her. Batman explains the bullshit explosion of Bane from earlier, despite apparently being the real Batman, and he even said that he knows everything, but whatever.
You and your friend Rob review movies, and 9 times out of 10 you bitch about them. Well, before you became a Howard-whipped bitch who turned PG.
No, see, Batman, you're wrong. He's not a Howard-whipped bitch. Because if he was a Howard-whipped bitch, Howard would have came to him and said, hey, Bert, how about I compose the musical score for your movie? And give me 2 months and I'll do it. And then he gets more than enough time. And Bert's like, yeah, you could do that, fine. And then 2 days before the movie premieres, and there's nothing. There's no acknowledgement. There's no text, nothing. He just is ignoring messages. And Bert then has 2 days to compose a musical score for a nearly 2-hour movie, completely on his own. So he busts his ass, neglects food, neglects sleep, and puts together single-handedly a 2-hour musical score for a movie on his own before the premiere hits, and then on the day of the premiere, Howard then messages him, not apologising, not acknowledging his mistake, just saying good luck at the premiere, and then during arguments, when this is brought up to his attention again, Howard would then completely dismiss it, never, to this day, never acknowledge it, never apologise, never explain himself. That would make him a Howard-whipped bitch, but that never happened.
That's fucked up.
The conversation is also split up of Bert walking because I guess the director is trying to be artsy. The supervillains plan to destroy Bert, for some reason, as Catwoman listens in. Why? Never explained. We never see her again, and they probably lost contact after this movie came out, so they probably don't even have her for any sequels planned. It's entirely pointless.
Yeah, that is pretty gay.
So Batman tells Bane that he's actually Alex, part of the reviewing show of Cinematic Venom, and that he cannot trust Rob for Series 3. Which never happened. Good call, Bats. The thing is, these scenes are just really weird because they're clearly not in the same room together. I mean, if you can't even tell by the difference of camera quality, look at the editing. Like, really, they thought they could fool us by putting in some awful fucking purple colour correction. And the fact that Batman's not looking to the side, but then Bane's looking directly at the camera. It's almost as if they couldn't afford to fly the super secret project all the way to Florida to film with them. We then cut to Bert entering the woods to confront God, because that's always where you confront all-powerful beings. And this is where the film really enters dark territory and tries to take itself way too seriously. This is a movie that went through 90 minutes of over-the-top campy ridiculousness and originally even had a dildo involved, and now they're trying to have a heartfelt and emotional scene? Yeah, no. So Bert demands to know why he did this, and God proceeds to rip him a new one. It was apparently to try to teach him independence, even though he was trying to kill him the whole time. He explains that Bert, for all of his life, has just relied on other people. He brings up his personal life and even bullying at school. He even mentions his suicide attempts. It's really messed up stuff, and although Erod's acting is great, Bert's is awful. He only has one expression, but all I can think about is popping that spot on his head.
I don't want to touch it, but you have some stuff on your...
So Bane is confronted by Ra's al Ghul, who looks nothing like Ra's al Ghul, for another serious scene.
I'm changing back into the real me.
And after that crap, Bert returns home for a third serious scene. Jesus, lighten up, guys! Also, great paint job there, dude. Fucking fantastic. So Raz explains that Bert's friendship with Alex is doomed, but he can help him in the League of Shadows if he's willing to get rid of him from Series 3. Which never happened. Good call, Raz. I also love how this whole friendship thing is mentioned here, but it was never really developed during the entire series. Again, he was in one episode, then he was killed off, then he brought back in the 5-year anniversary, and then just kind of never mentioned. But yeah, great friendship.
Well, before you became a Howard whipped bitch who turned PG.
We then cut to an unnecessarily long montage. Bane unmasks and then cries like a baby for no reason. I bet the writer and actor didn't even know. Oh, and just in case you forgot, the Joker overdoses because he's supposed to be Heath Ledger. Ha 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 ha. Edgy.
Could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood.
Alfred leaves the field and it's treated like this big epic moment. No idea why. Adam West gets treated like a bitch not once but twice. Mr. Freeze strangles a lady eating a cookie whilst corpsing the entire time. Did they mention he's supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger? Just in case you forgot. We then cut to a significantly superior camera, probably bought right at the end of production, as Bert not only deletes Alex from the script, but deletes cinematic Venom altogether. Which never happened. Be consistent, douchebag.
Close. Anyways, move on.
So then Jesus Christ! You've got more endings than Return of the King! I mean, you've had no story to begin with, so how can you possibly stretch it out this far? So this Riddler confronts the Joker with really awkward camera angles, considering it's the exact same actor, who gives a speech about society falling. Now he wants to do something new and original, never been done before. He wants to overcome society and take over the world.
Of course! I'll never get sick of that joke.
Then oh Jesus Christ, cut to the credits! Bert shows up at this prick's place. Don't remember him? He was in the opening montage for 2 seconds. Look, there he is. He goes inside, door closes, and... end credits. The hell's that supposed to mean? And then, the most terrifying threat of all.
We're already planning, working on an outline for the sequel, so there will be a second one.
I fucking hope not. This was just bad. I mean, you can tell they had a lot of fun making it, and there's a lot of heart behind it, but the story is non-existent, the production is a joke, the script is horrendous, the acting performances are wooden, and they don't even try to adapt the source material accurately. It just looks like they saw the Channel Awesome films and said, yeah, we want to make a movie, but they had no actual idea how difficult it is, and they had no idea about filmmaking. It was like they just bought a filmmaking book and thought, yeah, let's do this. This movie just seems all over the place, honestly. I don't know what Bert's problem with religion is, but the whole thing just turns God into this fucking satanic monster. As the movie progresses, he just becomes completely evil. The jokes aren't funny. There's no consistent plot whatsoever. Are they trying to make a point with this lack of continuity? Like changing clothes between each shot? What's the point you're trying to make? It's not funny. It's not adding to anything. The comedy is so bad. The story, honestly, there's none of these scenes actually link to each other whatsoever. It's almost as if the entire movie was improvised. I don't get it. I mean, maybe the sequel will be a lot better. I hope they don't make one, but maybe it'll be a lot better. Who knows? But as far as YouTube movies go, I'd steer clear away from this one as far as possible. But if they do make a sequel, probably need a lot of help with funding. It'll probably be a lot more professional. Yeah, might even be a link in the description.